Welcome to This Indulgent Life, the podcast, with me, Mary Cook. And this is episode number 23. Today on This Indulgent Life, the podcast, I am bringing you the Wandermires. Really, it's the Waltermires, but their Instagram and YouTube can be found at the Wandermires. And this fun-loving family of three, Kendra, Amanda, and Clark, are traveling the U.S. in an Airstream. And I'm so excited to share their journey with you. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of This Indulgent Life, where together wanderlusting families navigate respectful parenting, education, and fulfilling our dreams of having an extraordinary life through travel. We believe that life shouldn't just be an obligation, and that the American dream isn't the same for everyone. We believe that life should be an indulgence, so cherished and enjoyed. And the best way to do that is through enjoying experiences together and following our hearts. May you be inspired to do the same. Welcome back. Thank you so much for listening. I am so enjoying this podcast. I can't even tell you, this podcast is bringing me so much joy, and so I hope it's bringing you joy too. Hopefully you're being inspired and you're learning something. If you know somebody that you want to hear from on the podcast, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. Let me know who you're following and that you would love to hear from, and I will definitely reach out to them. I'd love to know what you want to hear about. So, just a little housekeeping before we get started. Same as always, guys, I gotta ask, right? If I don't ask, I don't get. So first, could you please, if you have not already, make sure you subscribe on your platform of choice and go and leave an honest rating and review. That helps me know what you like, and it helps these platforms know that this is a show worthwhile and worth promoting. So please do that. I know it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's really helpful for me. Also, if you haven't already, come and join the Facebook community. We have the Family Travel and Adventure Tribe with This Indulgent Life. And I am so excited to grow this community. It is pretty much brand new. We're all figuring it out together. But I'm really looking forward to just getting to know each other and then to inspire each other and figure out how to make our lives more adventurous and enjoyable. Nobody wants to live their life just doing the same thing day in and day out. And this is how we can kind of help each other to live our best life. So join us there. Now I would like to introduce the Wandermires. The Wandermires are a family of three, Kendra, Amanda, and Clark Waltermire. Notice the little play on name there? Clark is 4.5 years old. Kendra and Amanda's age? Lady doesn't tell. In addition to the two-legged family members, they also have a fat cat, Reese. Before going full-time, they were living in Dallas, Texas. But the stress of city and, well, just everyday life was getting to them. So they sold everything and bought an Airstream in 3.5 months. That's right, guys, 3.5 months. Kendra is an environmental engineer for a consulting firm, and Amanda currently homeschools Clark from the road. They've been on the road for 1.5 years now, and they're learning to embrace the flexibility in life. They're learning how to make a plan C. So welcome me in joining Kendra and Amanda Waltermire from the Wandermires. So welcome Amanda and Kendra from the Wandermires. I'm so excited to have you guys here today. I've been following you on Instagram for a little while, and I just love the fact that you guys have an Airstream, because that's what we are restoring, and B, you have a young son that's just slightly older than mine, so it's kind of fun to watch how you guys have been handling these adventures. So welcome.
Well, we're so glad. Thank you.
Thanks.
So tell us, to get us started, tell us who you guys are, how you got started into traveling, and about your family. Just a little bit who you are.
So, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Kendra.
Yeah. We have a 4-year-old, 4.5, I guess now. He's almost 5. I'm in denial. 5 is going to be
too big.
hard, I think, for me. It's too big. But I am a stay-at-home mom now. I was a flight attendant before we had Clark, and I've always just loved traveling. We kind of had said pre-kids, like, we'll travel at some point later in life. So I kind of pushed her to do a little more than what we expected, but
So I'm an environmental engineer, and I can work for a consulting firm that allows us to work from home. And so one of the things that we kind of got to talking about was how overwhelmed we were, just city life, 40 hours a week, both of us working, having a small kid. And then when I started working from home, Amanda approached me and said, why are we waiting until our later years of life to go do what we want to do, which is travel around the United States in an RV? Let's do it now. Of course, I was like, let me run the numbers.
we can make it work.
But that's how it all got started, and we were able to...
That was in June of 2017.
Yes.
And I threw this idea at her, like, literally, it was one morning over coffee. I was just like, hey, why don't we do this?
And we sold our house, downsized, bought the Airstream, did all that by September.
Yeah,
and
then
then we had to wait another month for our Airstream to actually arrive. So we actually had a month that we were out of the house and in a rental RV, and then waiting on our Airstream to show up.
Yeah.
Wow. So it
was fast.
And you didn't even have a place to go at first.
Right.
No, we thought that we were going to, it was going to take longer to sell the house, A, and then B, we actually were supposed to receive our Airstream like within a week of selling the house. And it was kind of one of those, like, there's a whole backstory there of what happened with the Airstream not coming off the line on time and whatever. So it just started creeping out
a little far. So yeah, we actually found a place that had it's an RV
park.
Yeah, it's an RV park. But they had a rental RV on site, so we thought, this is great. We can live in the rental. We'll rent the spot next to it, park the Airstream in it, and then we can slowly move into the Airstream. Well,
which is what we did, but
yeah,
it was a lot later than we thought.
Exactly, a lot later than we thought. So,
what made, like, did the thought just pop into your head one day, or were you watching things, or is this something you've always wanted to do?
I mean, the RVing is definitely something that we had always talked about doing, but I had stumbled upon a couple of channels on YouTube and was watching our now friends, Marissa and Nathan from Less Junk, More Journey.
Yes.
We started watching them, and then it just kind of I kept having this, like, nagging little voice, you know, it's like, just do it now, you know, and we were ready to kind of move areas in Dallas if we were going to stay stationary, which was the idea at the time. And we were kind of looking, kind of not looking, but I always look at real estate, like, even now, like, when we're traveling, like, I'm just fascinated by, like, a certain area, like, what homes cost. It's just interesting to me, so I'm always looking. But we weren't finding anything in Dallas that we really liked in the price range that we could afford. And so I was like, why not sell while the market is crazy, and then let's do something really crazy, like, let's travel. So here we are 19 months later, still on the road. Yep. So
it was all her, and we don't come from an RVing family either. So I had never RV'd, you had never RV'd. We both had, like, I think I had, like, one weekend that I went away with a one of my best friends in like 8th grade in an RV. That was like my experience. I tent camped a lot as a kid, but so all of this just kind of came out of nowhere, and it developed into something that we absolutely cannot imagine not doing.
Yeah, I said at one point to her, I said, I want it to be, I don't want us to look back and say, why didn't we ever, like, remember that time, you know, that we talked about doing this, but didn't. I wanted it to be like, do you remember that time that we traveled for however long and had all these great memories? And we want Clark to have those great memories. Yeah. And so.
Awesome. What made you guys decide on an Airstream?
That's you. When I said I wanted to travel and try this, it was not, why don't we buy an RV? It was, why don't we buy an Airstream and live in it full time? So I just kind of threw it out there as like, this is what we're going to get if we're going to do this, because I had been obsessed with them for a while. And so it was a pretty easy decision. We looked at vintage for a while.
Used and vintage. And then we decided, at the time, we were thinking that we would only be doing this for a short period, because our thought was, our son's about ready to turn 3. When he turns 5, he's going to kindergarten, and so this is a 2-year, which is also why we were motivated to move out of the house so fast. And so we knew that once we kind of started diving into it, we said, okay, well, we can't do vintage. We don't have time to really do the flip. And then when we started looking into used bunk models, there's so few bunk models, and it's a more recent model on an Airstream. There's a few going back to, I think, 2003 or 4 is like one of the first times they really, 5 and 6 is when they first brought them out. And they're just not out there. They're not out on the market, which kind of led us to, well, let's go talk to the Airstream dealer, and ultimately they gave us a really, really good deal.
Yeah, we got a really good deal. So it was an easy decision for us.
But the reason why she brought it in, and then also the reason why I agreed to it, was the quality of Airstream.
Yeah. We
just knew that, you know, there's a reason why these Airstreams are still out on the road from the 1950s, 40s, and even later, that it's because these bones are so good. You know, the inside might need to be replaced every once in a while, but the outside's just so good. So that's why we said, if we're going to be taking this on an earthquake every weekend moving, because that's essentially what you do to your trailer, it needs to be able to hold up. And we know a lot of other folks that have fifth wheels or trailers or whatnot, and they've run into some issues that I think we don't run into, because we just have the Airstream, which is known for the better quality.
Yeah. I mean, it's had its share of things in 19 months, but it's not some of the, you know, delamination horror stories that you hear about other types of rigs and things like that. So, quality build.
Quality, and they hold their value. So especially if you're going to be buying new, you definitely want something that's going to have the value in it.
Right.
That was one of the things that made us decide on ours as well, even though we did go vintage, fully gutted. It was like, because we figured we would have, whatever we could afford was going to have to end up being gutted to some extent anyway. So why not go with something that at least when I put my money back into it, I'm going to get that back out and more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why and I mean, they just look so cool. And it's instant community. I mean, come on.
We love our tiny, shiny home.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me about the purging. You guys, I watched your video yesterday, and it seemed like it was sort of like chaos, but amazingly, you know. We kind of we've waited to the last minute, to be completely honest. We've purged 1.5 rooms, and we're leaving in a month. So we're kind of at that stage. But how did you decide what to keep, what not to keep? How did you go through that process? So for people looking to do this and you know, they just need to get it done, what do you suggest?
I think my recommendation is first walk into your closets. Your closets are going to be, in my opinion, the easy purges, because you have 1 or 2 or 3 closets that you know you don't ever go in, but like maybe once a year. So those are the closets you should start with, and those should be kind of the low-hanging fruit. In addition, I would highly recommend doing a purge of your clothes right off the bat.
Right.
Amanda and I went through, I don't think I'm exaggerating, I would say 4 or 5. We even once we moved into the Airstream had to do another
twice
purge
since we moved in.
So it's like, I can't live without this. And then you go back in and you start realizing, oh, well, there's still stuff I don't wear. So I can't live without this. And like, we went through multiple purges by the time we even by the time we moved into the Airstream, we didn't have enough space for everything. So we
had more space than what we ended up having.
So we were forced to actually have to purge again. But I think we've learned how to, you have to be organized if you're going to be in a tiny space. If you're going to fit stuff into storage, it has to be organized. But I would say that was kind of like the first step.
But I think, like as far as what to take, 3.5 months wasn't a very long time, and like Kendra said, like, we went through multiple times different spaces, not just our clothes, but like kitchen stuff, and we're moving what we have in storage in September. We're going to go through that again now that we've been on the road for 2 years, and things that we thought, because we were going, when we started, we were thinking about
do you need us to pause?
Oh, sorry. No, I just goofed up my end. That's okay.
Okay.
I goofed up. I was recording separately and I forgot to press record for my sound.
Sorry.
No, not you at all. Totally my goof up.
Okay. Do you need us to start over?
No, you're okay. I'll just switch.
Okay.
I don't talk as much, so you're all right.
So,
so I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
We were talking about like all
That's okay.
There was you really do a purge of the same room or the same space multiple times.
So even now, like, we're going to be purging our storage unit just because we thought we were going to be on the road for a certain period of time, and things that we kept, like kitchen appliances that we didn't want to have to buy again 2 years later, we've kept, but we know now that we're not going to be stopping traveling anytime soon, as far as we know. So we don't feel like we need to keep paying to have those things in storage. So we'll be going through again, doing a purge. But I think for people that are just trying to start purging and like get to a place where they can travel or just have less, you just start somewhere. Like, pick a room, start there, and go through and say, have I used this in the last 3 months? Everybody wants to say 6 months, but I think 6 months is like really far. So like, have you used it in the last 3 months? If not, put it someplace and start kind of whittling your things down from there.
I also found I am very particular about stuff.
Yes.
I can never be a collector because it would drive me crazy. I naturally tend towards the more minimalism, and so for me it was therapeutic and it was outright exhilarating to get rid of things. I was very excited to be like, and I don't have to worry about maintaining this or cleaning this surface ever again, or so for me, I actually got steamrolled into this almost excitement to be like, oh, we're getting rid of stuff.
Yeah, if anybody goes back and watches that video, like you said, you watched that video, we were exhausted. I mean, it it was crazy. It was
So we
chaos.
sold a lot. So one of the ways that we were able, things that you knew you just weren't going to sell, we just donated quite a bit. And then the things that we knew that we could sell, we went on the Facebook. Yeah, like furniture and appliances and things like that. We went on the Facebook Marketplace, and that's where we sold a lot of our items. So one of the things that added to the mix is I'm trying to work from home, and I am a revolving door of people showing up for whatever, because I'm laying there at night and all I'm doing is like
listing.
I can meet you tomorrow. Come to the house at 8. Do this, like, and so it became where like I had like a work calendar and I had like my marketplace calendar, and then at night I'm trying to like, what else can I sell?
Yeah.
And
I mean, for everything, like lawnmowers, all the outside stuff, you just don't think about how much stuff. The last week we were in the house, we had gone through and, labeled all the closets when they were done, or all the drawers when they were empty. But that last week we were in the house, we opened the attic, and we knew we had stuff in the attic that we were like, our Christmas stuff is there, that stuff's going. We had already gone through it, but purged it. But we forgot that there was more in the attic than we had remembered. So it was just one of those like, oh, okay, start listing all of this too, So there's little things. There's always that one space that I feel like kind of sneaks up on you.
It's always the little things too. It's always like, you think you've got most of it done, and then you realize that those little things are going to take you like twice as long. Like, it's so hard.
Right.
Yeah, selling the couch moves something very large very quick, but selling tiny things that fill up the space of a couch, or just donating or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think we're at the point where we're just like, we'll try and sell some of the bigger things, and then the rest I'm just like, whatever. Like, they are either staying for the next tenant, or I'm donating it to somebody here, or it's just gone. Like, I'm just not even, can't deal. Too much. Yep,
we left some outside stuff for the folks that were moving in the house, because I was like,
we left a huge rug in the middle of the living room floor.
That was because we couldn't sell it.
But no. So yeah, you do. You leave things. I mean, things that maybe they'll use them, maybe they'll find use for them, or somebody who needs them. So it's fine.
So tell me a little bit about what life has been like living on the road.
Awesome. I don't really know how to peg that. I would say it has been a relief, exciting. There's definitely moments of anxiety where you get a little nervous about where are we going next week. So we try to plan out, but then we always have weeks that always seem to be kind of hard to fill. And we've actually learned throughout these last couple of years to leave them open, because life tends to throw things at you that does change up your plans, and it always seems to work. At least we can speak for the last 19 months. Yeah. It seems to almost land always on those weeks that were so hard to peg down, and it allowed us that flexibility.
Right.
So, may it be family matters, may it be something related for my work where I need to go fly somewhere, so now we need to be somewhere that I can catch a flight, whatever it may be. But that's,
we've been fortunate that that's happened like that.
Yeah, so, but I would say mostly it's just been, like, full of adventure, and also, like I said, like, I find relief in it. So, just being able to be part of nature, being able to slow down, not in the rat race, we choose places normally that are quieter, more nature, like state parks, national parks, or right outside of national parks, free land like BLM or National Forestry Service. So we like that little bit of that, just a quiet lifestyle. So we enjoy that.
Yeah, we're not big, like, RV resort people. We like being out on a river, or in the woods somewhere. But yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. Clark's loved it. we're loving it. I mean, I think you have to have that going into it. Either you want to be kind of RV park people, or
I think other people would be, I think while we tend to go to nature, others want to tend to go to cities, and they want to experience the historical or the cultural lifestyle of the cities, and that puts you normally in an RV park over, some kind of like state park.
Yeah,
or something
I guess that's what I was trying to say, is like, you have to kind of decide what kind of adventure you're looking for, whether you want cultural city type or outdoorsy.
How would you say that this trip has changed your family?
I think we're closer for sure. Not that, I mean, we've always been like a close family. When we were living in Dallas, we had no family around. So that helped to just, our family started with us being just the three of us. So we've always been close, but I think it's allowed us to have time to enjoy one another, and slow down and appreciate one another more. That's for me, at least.
Yeah, I would agree, because one of the things that, like, just to give an example is, I would get off of work at 5:30, be home by 6. You'd be getting home around 6. And Amanda was fortunate to work at a shop where she could bring Clark along, so we didn't have to worry about, dropping by daycare or anything, but we're ultimately both coming home at 6, and, food needs to be cooked, and there might have been some kind of church meeting that we needed to, hustle off towards or whatever, and it seemed like, or we were meeting with some friends, it just seemed that I just felt like I was just doing this all the time.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't ever seem that we ever just decompressed. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but that's kind of been that relief of, I closed my laptop, we're all together, Amanda's been cooking dinner, like, we have time to go out and go fishing or run around with a soccer ball or just watch a movie and just be together.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for as well. It's like, I wake up at 5, I get ready, I'm out the door before 6, I get home right before 6. Luckily, I don't have to worry about the cooking or the cleaning, because that's one of the perks of living in Hong Kong. But I can't even imagine if I had to, because there's just no way I could work 12 hours, a day and then still spend any time with my kid, or my husband for that matter.
Well, and that's actually something that, like, I was feeling a lot of stress about, was because, I didn't get to see him during the day, and then we had limited time at night that felt rushed, and then on the weekends there was so much stuff to do around the house, because, like, both of us are working, so then that's cleaning, that's outside work, and I felt guilty about, like, I need to be doing this, but I also haven't spent any time with my son, so.
Well, and I had him with me at work too, so it was like I was ready for a break. And so we just kind of had this, like, life tug of war. It just pulls you in so many different directions, and we just said enough. It was time, and I'm so grateful that we've done it. And even if something happened and we had to stop sooner than what we would like, I'm so fortunate that we've had this time, because I really do think it's been just an incredible experience for all of us, and has really just, like, created, like, this amazing solid core foundation for our family. So it's been really awesome.
Yeah. Do you think that you guys will always be travelers now? Like, as a family?
I don't know. I don't want to say, like, no, but I think we're okay if life throws us something and it feels right to say, okay, like, this is a place that feels right for us, or this is the time that, when we started making the decision to homeschool, we've said if it stops working for him or it quits working for us, We're not going to jeopardize like education for Clark or, that kind of thing to keep going and doing. We'll just kind of have to evaluate. But I mean, we've always been travelers, like me being a flight attendant, Kendra traveling for work. I
used to travel a lot
ton for work.
Like 90% of the year I was traveling for work.
Yeah.
So, and that was pre-kid and pre-kid free too.
So
kids slowed us down a little bit.
I think that it's like always going to be a part of us, and I hope for Clark, like he's had these last, 19 months of really, really becoming a traveler. And I hope that he's like developing a love for it as well. And just experiencing different people and different places and culture and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, I don't know if I could say we would never stop. I can tell you right now, we can't imagine stopping in the near future. And honestly, if an opportunity arose, I think you and I would jump on an opportunity to start doing other countries.
Like international
travels. But that goes to a whole nother realm. I feel like
it's a whole other level.
That's something that
we'll call you.
But so I'm up for that as well. So it may even be stationary, but still and technically traveling as an expat. So
it's definitely a whole different ballgame. I actually feel though that like the RVing is hard, like gonna be harder. So, because you are stationary, right? So once you figure everything out, you're just there. It's your normal day-to-day life. But the initial part is probably difficult, but it's also exhilarating, so you don't really think about it.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. You have this like, once you kind of get your routine, as far as, okay, well, on Tuesdays I go to the grocery store, whatever your kind of schedule for the week, how it kind of flows, you just know, okay, well, if you're in a small town, like we're in this really small town in Indiana right now, there's a tiny little grocery store. So now I know where the grocery store is if I need to zip in and get something. And, we move at a little slower pace. So I kind of like that we're in a place for a week or 2 weeks at a time, just depending on kind of what our schedule is, because you kind of get to know the place and you get to know some people, and sometimes we're like, okay, ready to go, after the week, but it's nice to be able to kind of feel comfortable, like driving around town if you need to go to the laundromat or whatever the case may be, or find a cute little local restaurant. And that's what we love doing not touristy things in these little towns that we kind of pop into for the week. So
I don't think the towns we go to have touristy things.
Most of the time they don't. True. Most of the time they don't.
Oh,
Here comes the Union Pacific train. It comes at 8:50. Wave. No, I mean, like, we're not looking for like an Applebee's or a Chili's or a Fridays. Like, we want to experience like local.
Yes.
Fare.
Like family-owned kind of restaurants.
Yes. Yeah.
They blow the horn at the silos every Friday. Let's go experience it.
This really did just happen. We were in like middle of nowhere, Nebraska last week, and we're slowly making our way. We've been in Yellowstone. We were in Yellowstone, 4 weeks ago now?
2 weeks.
No.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
Really
no, we were there
weeks?
for 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
Whatever.
2 to 4 weeks.
Long weekends of drying. Too long ago. That's what it is. I want to go back. But we're making our way east. And so we're trying to get out of Tornado Alley as fast as we can. It's been crazy this year.
That's one of our...
With my job.
Go ahead. With your job.
With my job, we are stationary Monday through Friday. So we typically try to move on Saturdays. And then if need be, like we've been really trying to haul across the country. So we've been traveling Saturdays, Sundays. We actually traveled Monday for Memorial Day as well. And, but we typically try and land somewhere, move on the Saturday. And that also, because there's been one or two occasions where we've gotten someplace and I said, I can't work with the cell signal. And although I rely on Campendium and the comments and the reports on cell signal there, and that's normally been pretty
really
solid.
accurate.
We have had a couple of spots where it turned into like, nope, we need Sunday to then kind of go to plan B. So anyway, so that's why we're still hanging out in Nebraska and whatnot, is because I really do have to be stationary and working, my 40-hour job.
I think that's what's kind of different about us too, is that, a lot of people who full-time travel, they may have more flexibility in their full-time job if they're working on the road. But Kendra's a 9 to 5, like Monday through Friday. She has to be logged in and taking conference calls and, answering emails and all of that. So it slows us down a little bit. If we want to see some place, we're staying 2 weeks just for the sheer fact that we need a weekend in the middle to be able to explore and things like that. So it's allowed us to see places for a little longer than the typical, like every 2 or 3 days people are moving, we find. But we've liked it. It's not been too slow.
So I want to get back to the flexibility in a second, but before I do, I know a lot of people are concerned about, it seems to be the thing, right? Whether you're stationary and homeschooling or traveling, everyone is worried about socialization of their child. And because you guys don't choose to really stay in RV parks, then that also eliminates the automatic congregation of people. So how do you guys approach Clark being able to play with kids of any age? I mean, I don't think it has to be their own age at all, but of any age.
Do you want to answer that?
Sure. First and foremost, Clark is our social butterfly. He has no problem approaching any kid on the playground. If we go to a park, go to the playground. Library, whatever it may be, he's not at a loss for his own internal motivation to go. But he's always been like that. This was not something that was like learned on the road. This is just we sometimes have to apologize for him being aggressively friendly.
Like hollering before they get out of the car. Hi, do you want to play with me?
So I will put that out there that I think we got kind of lucky in that sense, because I know families where their child is much more shy or introverted or whatever you want to use the term. And I know that it's a lot harder for them. But the one thing I will say is that we almost right out the bat went to an Escapers annual bash. Escapers is a subgroup of the larger RV group Escapees, and it's meant for younger generations, working RVers, family RVers,
solo travelers. It's a great group.
And so almost right out of the gate, we met people through this great get together, this meetup. There's other options for meetups out there, but that was just the one that we stumbled into, and as well as we have just absolutely continued to love that organization. And through that, we've actually developed relationships with other solos, couples, families that we have intentionally reconnected with. And with regards to Clark, 1 week we could be hanging out with this family, and the next week we're hanging out with another family. And so actually, although we're traveling and we could be on BLM land, we're in the middle of nowhere, we're parked right next to our friends though. And they are having just this great time, community of kids together. And so I want to say it seemed like for the first part of this year, we were almost every week either with family or with friends. So Clark was constantly having that socialization with kids.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think that has been an issue as far as us not being in 1,000 trails, you know, with a bunch of other kids. Like he has made friends, and constantly we're FaceTiming and talking to friends that he's made on the road, or family and cousins and that kind of thing. So he's getting that socialization. I mean, he can make friends in Chick-fil-A in 5 minutes too. Like, it's not been difficult. You may, if you're not wanting to do the RV park route, like, you may have to go to the library or go to a science museum or something like that. But
children's museum, you guys
Yeah.
done a lot of
Tons,
children's museums, and
so
just to have that interaction.
mhm,
It is important.
absolutely, yeah,
So you've just been able
Especially
to
he's
find
only-
other places.
yes,
Yeah. And I mean, he's an only child, so I also know that you get a difference with also, like, the sibling dynamics as well, that, you know, if you have a week that you go without having friends, at least they have kind of each other to be playing with or whatnot.
Yeah. Awesome. How do you feel like this trip has affected Clark? Like, how has he changed at all? Do you feel like he's learning differently?
I'm pausing a lot because I don't know how it would have been if we hadn't done it.
right,
I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I think he does really well with the, like, homeschooling. So from an education standpoint, he started reading and he's 4.5, so that's been going really well from that standpoint.
I
don't
worked in a place where there were tons of kids. So it was a natural parenting store. So there were tons of moms that had their kids that they also homeschooled. And although we weren't homeschooling at the time, he had friends there that he played with all day. So I can't really answer that, whether he would be different or not. I don't think so. I think
I will say, I think some of the social pressures of kids that are always together, at a very young age, you already start seeing some of the social dynamics that aren't necessarily positive or negative, and he doesn't understand those because he's
Right.
not in that situation, and actually because he's with other RVing kids. It really doesn't develop because A, they're not together long enough, and then B, they also haven't picked up on some of those social norms, and you know, you get a lot less of the bullying factor.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it out for what it is, but
It
like
is.
you get a lot less of that.
I mean, there is some.
I'm not
like,
saying every kid's perfect. on the
yeah,
road.
there is some, but and sometimes, you know, 3's a crowd, 2 is better sometimes. That happens on the road. But I don't think that.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when you go to preschool or daycare or something like that, where it's same kids see each other day in, day out. I think that would be the only thing. I think it's a bit of a stretch,
Yeah.
but I don't know how it would have changed out
Yeah.
differently.
I don't know that it would.
Well, especially because you had already had the opportunity to be with him all day long. So that part hasn't really changed for you. But it has
Yeah.
changed a little bit for you. You still have to work, but you're still kind of more available, I would imagine. So that's why I thought maybe there were some differences that you had seen, but it sounds like he's just been a well-adjusted kid all along, so it doesn't really matter.
I think it's been a change for me though. Like
for sure.
I had a lot of mom guilt with like doing the work thing and then also trying to be a mom, and it's alleviated a lot of that because
Every 5 seconds, hey mom, look at this. Hey mom, look at that. She's working. Like,
yeah, but it's not only that, but like I can take a moment, like I'm gonna make lunch, or I'm gonna sit down and have lunch, and then we're gonna talk through lunch, and or you know, like, you know what, I can take 5 minutes.
let's go outside.
Let's go outside and, you know, can you help me carry something? Or let's go play real quick. Or, you know, if he wants me to look at something, I'm still able to just, it really doesn't interrupt me too much. I'm typing, I'm doing whatever. And, hey, Mom, look at what I built. That's really cool, bud.
I mean, it took 2 seconds, but I'm there for him to say, "That's really cool, bud." You know, like
he gets that affirmation. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So how does, this isn't where I was planning on going, but I guess it's kind of in the flexibility realm I was going to go to next. How do you manage to stay focused with a 4-year-old and at one point 3-year-old in such a tiny space? Like, do you guys have a schedule that you work out, that they're out of the house for certain times?
No. Well, if her day is stacked with calls, she either goes to the library or the laundromat or someplace
out.
Sometimes just in the truck, she'll go out, or if we're someplace that has stuff that can keep us busy, we'll go. But
I very rarely take a call in the Airstream. It would be something that I was invited to, that it's more of for my own knowledge, but I know that I won't be talking or doing anything for. I will always find a quiet space for that. With regards to daily work, I think part of it is you have to stay dedicated and focused on what you're doing, like especially when you have some deadlines coming or whatnot. That kind of drives you. And then I would also say something that used to get me in trouble, but now is like a great asset, is I can tune things out very easy. So
it's like amazing.
It used to be problematic, where maybe I should have been paying more attention. But now it's actually, I can kind of toot my horn and say, I don't pay attention.
She doesn't. Without headphones on, it's amazing. Like, some days she'll put headphones on if she's really, like, reading and needing to focus. But a lot of the time she just sits, and I'll say something, or Clark will say something, and, hey, did you hear we were talking? Huh? What? Like, she kind of, like, comes out of her space, and although she's sitting, 2 feet from us at the dinette working, so it's pretty impressive.
I had 2 sisters. I think I just whoop.
I don't know. My husband does it, and it drives me crazy. I'm just like, I was talking to you. Oh, I didn't know you were talking. Who else would I be talking to?
But it's like they don't even hear it. It's like they don't hear the voice at all. Yeah, it's impressive.
But you have made it from a weakness into a strength.
Yep, exactly.
On that around.
So you guys have been talking here and there about, having to be flexible. And in your pre-interview, you had said that you guys had a plan A and a plan B. But now you guys have gone to a plan C. So can you get into that a little bit? We don't have a lot of time, but I would love to touch on that.
Yeah, so I think flexibility is key, because something's going to happen that you're not going to anticipate, that you need to be able to roll with. And, the plan A, plan B. So plan A was the initial take, which was, okay, we've got 2 years before Clark needs to be in kindergarten. This is our 2 years to go RVing. We were not planning on homeschooling. Plan B was, okay, what if we get on the road and we really don't enjoy it? What are we going to do that? How are we going to have a fallback? And it was like, okay, well, then we'll just, maybe we'll have to find some place to park the Airstream, or because, like you said, with the Airstream, with the resale value so good, like, yeah, we might cut some losses, but hopefully we can recoup all of it. And then once we got on the road and realized how much we loved it, and honestly started meeting like-minded folks, and we saw how well kids were doing homeschooling. I didn't really know anybody who was homeschooled as a kid and growing up, so that was kind of a new thing for me to also be experienced too. And that's kind of when we decided to change. But I think even day-to-day life, we were in Yellowstone and our furnace quit on us. So it was like, okay, our schedule, and this was one of those, like, our week was a little flexible coming back, blah, blah. Okay, well, now we have to change our route to make sure we get out of colder temperatures where we don't need the furnace. And you have to deal with it, if a tire blows, or not blows, but even if you get a hole in it, like, yeah, you don't want to have to pull off the side of the road and put on your spare and then have to find some place to replace your tire or whatever. But that's part of it. It's not fun, but if you just lock up and you say, well, that wasn't, we were supposed to be at this RV park on this day, or, whatever, then you're just going to find a lot of anxiety and frustration in it. I think you just have to know, like, things will arrive.
Right. So, an example that just happened recently, not just the furnace, but we had planned to go to Yellowstone a week prior to when we actually were able to go. We made the trip there, got there, and it was still way too snowy. Everything was still closed. Campgrounds were all still closed. And although we had done our research and we thought we were fine, the winter just changed that. Exactly. So we ended up having to change our plans, drop back down further south for the week. And I was devastated about it. Like, I was like, we're here. We're literally here, and we can't get in. And so, I was kind of in a funk for a couple of days about it. And then it's like it just opened up and things just started to fall into place for the next week. And so I think if we had just locked in and really fought to make it happen, it wouldn't have been the same trip. We wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. We wouldn't have gotten to experience as much and fall in love with that area as much as we did over the 2 weeks that we ended up being able to be there. And so I think if you can, sometimes you have to work a little harder to make things work, but when all the doors are kind of shutting and nothing is working, you have to say, okay, there's a reason for this, and you have to be flexible in those moments and just kind of alter your plan and move on to the next thing. And most of the time for us, like, those second options or the next best thing ends up being something that has been amazing while we've been on the road. So
we're truly a blessing in disguise. Like, we were planning on trying to go to South Dakota, and it turns out that with pull heater thing, we're glad we didn't, because they got dumped on with snow, and we would have been locked in and all that. So it's kind of one of those, you look in hindsight and like, oh, there's a reason that happened.
Yeah. So I think just being flexible will make your journey and your travels a lot more enjoyable. And I think having a kid forces you to do that. Like, if it was just the two of us, I think we could endure a little more stress or a little more discomforts at certain times. But having a kid, like, you can't do that. So I think he has helped us, say, okay, change of plans, it'll all work out, kind of a thing. And that's really good for me, because I am more type A, more of the like, no, but this is what we said we were going to do, so it's been good for me over the last 19 months to, like, take a breath. Those things are meant to happen and let them go. So flexibility has been key for us.
It's probably what made everything work for you guys, because it sounds like you need a lot of flexibility between work and kid and travel. So I thank you for sharing that. So before we move on to my final questions, I have a question for Amanda. I guess it kind of goes with this whole flexibility thing. The fishing. The fishing. I hear you have been really, and I saw it on Instagram, really into fishing. So maybe how has being able to be flexible helped with that?
Well, so I had the awesome opportunity while we were in West Yellowstone. I mentioned when we were coming through town, I was like, I've wanted to learn to fly fish for a really long time. And so Kendra was like, well, let's do it for your birthday. Well, then I started calling around, and it was a lot more than what I think either one of us expected a birthday gift. So kind of roped my parents in on it as well. So I got to take a private guided fly fishing lesson, like, on the Madison River in Yellowstone, which was amazing. So no, it's been just kind of a want for a long time, and I finally got to make it happen. I'm dying to go again. So yeah, no, I'm moderately obsessed with learning and reading and watching fly tying videos, and yeah. My friends are like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "It's a secret thing I've wanted to do forever, I guess, that nobody knew about." But
I tell everyone it's like on Shrek, where he's like, "I'm like an onion. There's many layers." And Amanda is definitely, she's our little onion. She's got a lot of layers, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. So I'm eager to go again. We're headed up to Wisconsin this summer with some friends, and I'm hoping to be able to get out on the river and do some fishing there. So we'll see. But
do you think you really? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You can speak.
I can speak that. So we've been together for 10.5 years, and I know that since I don't know when we first watched that movie together, but a river runs through it.
Yeah.
But anytime she sees someone fly fishing, someone talks about it, it's on a show, she's always like, I just want to do that. I just want to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it was awesome.
Do you think you would have done it if you hadn't gone RVing?
Oh, I think it would have been, I think it would have happened at some point, but I don't think it probably would have been now. Like, just the opportunity as far as location and that kind of thing being like right at your fingertips there, was super awesome. So yeah, eventually in life I would have gotten there, but would it have been now? Probably not. Yeah,
for real. All right, so anything else that we should know for RVing and your new life and adventure? Anything else you want to tell people about?
I would recommend making sure you do your research before getting on the road and just watching those videos out there from, I'm just going to plug a few people because these were the people that helped me out. Less Junk, More Journey with Nathan and Marissa. Keep Your Daydream are fantastic. Long Long Honeymoon has some great videos. I think our Lively Tribe, I would say that those videos that are the tutorial style are worth just flipping on, if you can throw it up on your TV or on your phone at night. It really helps to take away if you do have a little bit of nervousness or concern going on the road, because after you watch them enough, you like I said, we came from outside of the RVing world, not having any experience. So for us, this was great, where it was, hey, check out these apps. Hey, this is how you dump, which seems easy. Once you've done it the first time, you're like, wow, that was it. I was stressing about that. But, these are things to look out for. I would highly recommend YouTube University is what I always call it. Go out there, watch them. They're great people, as well as you'll learn a lot before you get on the road, and it'll help you feel more confident about it.
But I also think, start where you are. Don't think that you have to have a 40-foot fifth wheel when you start. You can make it work. Just start where you are, and whether it be I want to do this on the weekends, or we just want to buy a camper that we can take our family on for the summer. Start where you're at and then roll into it. If it's something that you're really interested in, just find a spot, start there, and just slowly let the ball start rolling. Because I think, if you travel for the summer, then it's going to be like, oh man, we have to stop to let the kids go back to school or whatever it may be, So, but yeah, if you're thinking about it, just say, why not now? Maybe.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think that's key, because everyone sees you guys and these other big channels, and they're like, oh, I don't know how I could manage to do that. That's such a big step. But there's all these other little steps that you could take. You don't have to just jump right into going full time. And I think that's key. It's just figuring out how to add adventure into your own family in your own way. Which is what, I've been trying to coach people on is trying to create that family culture of experiences and adventure, right? Because that's important.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah,
so you kind of answered one of my questions about my one piece of advice, but what is on the agenda next for you guys? You said you're going east. Is there a place in mind?
Go ahead.
So end of June, we're going to be at the Outer Banks for a family vacation. So on my side of the family, they're the whole family, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, cousins, all the great grandkids,
Yeah.
my sisters and nieces. So we're all doing a family vacation. So right now we're kind of dropping over to the east. We're visiting with our friends in South Carolina and then going up there. And then we're moving a lot, unfortunately. I don't like to move this much.
Yeah.
But then back to the Midwest from the sorority in college. She's getting married. And then we move up to Wisconsin to go visit with some other friends up in the Northwoods, which we love the Northwoods. So very excited about that.
Don't tell anybody.
You didn't hear that.
A really good secret.
Yes.
It's not great. Don't go. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so we're kind of going east, just a real quick turn back, and then head up kind of Midwest north. Mm-hmm. So that's the ultimate plan.
Oh, sounds like I'm going to miss you in South Carolina. Then you'll be there about a month before I will.
Oh yeah.
Where in South Carolina are you guys going?
We're going to be on the South Carolina Georgia border. We're going to be in an area called Lake Hartwell.
Yep.
We've friends we met on the road. They are ending their year of travel.
Out of office.
Yeah, the out of office family. They're ending their year of travel, and we're going to go see them, spend a week with them, and then head to the Outer Banks in North Carolina.
You guys are just going to go this summer.
Yes.
Yeah, well, luckily, it's like we're already in
sitting
Indiana.
here looking at our map at the moment.
Luckily, we already did our long trip from out west, and so even though this is going to feel probably less because we just got done doing this big haul from Montana, so now it's going to be like, it seems like we're moving a lot, but maybe it'll feel like, oh, that's nothing compared to what we just did.
Yeah, it's nice when you can cross state bounds more
faster
quickly than you can. Yeah.
Very true. So what do you hope Clark will learn from traveling?
Oh, that's a tough question, I feel like.
I personally hope that he learns how to appreciate what he has, hard work, as well as loving the small things. Truly, like, loving nature, loving just spending time with someone, and all that comes with that. So just that slower loving what you have instead of what you always want.
Yeah. I hope that he learns to have compassion for people, whether they're different than you or, raised different than you or lived differently than you, from a different place. I just hope he has compassion for people, and I think that's it for me.
By meeting people from all around not even just the United States, we have a really great set of friends from
Canada,
Nova Scotia. So just meeting people of all different walks and making friends with them, I think that'll help with that as well.
Yeah.
You just don't get it when you're stationary. The likelihood of you bumping into people who are outside of kind of that bubble. Maybe the bubble's pretty big or the bubble could be real small. It just gets harder, and this kind of really helps you kind of collide into these other folks,
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think that falls to him to being like eager to meet people and make friends. I love that. I hope he keeps that kind of spirit his whole life, and just willing to chat with somebody at a table next to him when he gets older, talk to somebody in the grocery store or whatever,
He's definitely hopped down at dinner and walked over and sat at someone else's table. Like, hey, you have a Star Wars shirt on, and I like Star Wars.
Yes,
and you're like,
that did happen.
Come back.
But,
my son is kind of a mix. And because we're here in Asia and he's a blonde, blue-haired child, or blue-eyed child, he he gets a lot of attention, and so sometimes he doesn't want it. But then other times, like, I'll be walking with him and a family just got out of their car and he will run up and go grab the dad's hand. Like, I'm like, dude, child, do you not know? Like, you don't know these people. Like, you can't just, like, run up and go walk with them. But, you know, everyone gets a big kick out of it.
Yeah, we want them to have like a little bit of stranger danger, right?
Exactly.
And we want them to like not be so shy that they don't respond when somebody speaks to them, or you know, are unwilling to talk to the stranger on the street. Like, I want them to be able to make eye contact and have a conversation, but I don't necessarily want you to hop in the car with them.
There's a balance, kid. A balance.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So what does traveling with your family mean to you?
I think it's priceless for me. Like, these will be memories that we have when we're old. I mean, we will take these memories with us everywhere we go, for the rest of our life. And I hope that he does the same. I hope he takes these memories everywhere he goes and he remembers this, and hopefully it'll lead for him to do this maybe with his family, and not necessarily travel full time, but just want to like expose his family and his kids, if he has them at some point, to this. And no, it's priceless for me. There's no amount of items or money or anything that could change or replace this experience for me.
I'd say this, ditto, absolutely ditto. It's about experiences and memories for me. So, you can't take those away.
Exactly.
You can't take them away from anyone. It's always going to be there. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was like. You literally took the words out of my mouth. No one can take this away from you. You know, that really pretty house that you've worked really hard for, somebody can take that away from you. Or something can take it away from you. But besides dementia, there is nothing that will take these memories away from you.
Right.
Let's be real. You're going to remember the ones that are earlier than the ones that are later. So.
Yeah. Those memories are there. You just, you know, you
forget them.
Mm-hmm. Access them differently.
Yeah.
So, where can people connect or find out more about you guys?
On Instagram and YouTube, and we have a Facebook page at the Wandermires.
We are more active on Instagram than we are on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And YouTube videos get posted as I can find energy and time. We are not regular posters. No. We throw up what we think will be fun for our,
I mean, really, we started the YouTube for family and as a log for him, because he was young when we started traveling. So, by no means are they like, some people's videos out there, but it's fun. It's fun for us, and it's an evening thing when she feels like she's ready to edit or post something. So
long story short, Instagram is the best way. So we are on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as the Wandermires.
Which, by the way, was a very clever transition of your last name. For those who didn't get it, it's Waltermires, and then they changed it to Wandermires. I thought that was very clever.
We have a very good friend in Dallas that we attended church with, and we kind of threw it out there. What should our name be? And she said it, and everybody, including us, were like,
"Yes,
that's it."
Yeah. So we have our dear sweet friend Casey to thank for our name.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me and finding the internet. I know you guys have been in and out of internet for a while. And I'm just so excited to talk with you guys and really appreciate you taking the time.
It's the same for us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode, guys. I hope you got as much out of listening to Kendra and Amanda as I did. I so enjoyed talking with them, and I cannot wait to meet them one day in person and tour their Airstream. I mean, Airstream is a built-in community. It's one reason why we loved it. So really looking forward to kind of meeting with them. If you did enjoy this, make sure you go to one of their pages, YouTube or Instagram, at the Wandermires, and let them know that you found them here on this podcast and that you really enjoyed what they had to say. And go, of course, follow them. If you need those links, if you can't remember the whole word or how to spell it, you can just go to the show notes at thisindulgentlife.com/23. Again, that is thisindulgentlife.com/23. And if you are enjoying this podcast, make sure you take a screenshot, share it on your Insta stories, and tag me at thisindulgentlife so I can see that you enjoyed it and share it on my page as well. I really look forward to connecting with you. Hopefully you've already joined the Facebook community and you've subscribed so you can get further episodes. Next week, we are talking with Brian Joe of The Brian Joe Show, and he is going to give us a little insight on what it was like to be raised as a first-generation American with very strict parents and the lessons that it's taught him that he's trying to share with the world and help other parents kind of realize what happens when you parent like that. As well as really looking into accepting people where they're at and really realizing that people are just trying their best. So give it a listen. It's going to be intense. It's going to be raw. And I was on his show back at the beginning of June. So you can go and give that a listen as well. And let me know what you think. Until next time, have a great adventurous life. See you soon.